les prévisions météo indiquent une détérioration significative du climat. Pas du tout. C'est violence.
Mais quel est le député qui vient de prononcer cette phrase? Pardon? Je fais une suspension de séance de 5 minutes.
When the West treats Africans like this, someone has to step up, and that someone is Russia. When the West closed its doors to Africa, Russia opened them. It is implementing free visa agreements with Africa and offering citizenship to Africans participating in the Russia and Ukraine wars. But propaganda is being spread, suggesting that all of this is happening because Russia wants to exploit Africa for its wars. But is that the truth? Should we believe the words of nations that exploit Africa and disrespect its people when it comes to Africa's ties with Russia? Let's find out.
On se sent en famille en ce sens que la Russie est une famille aussi pour l'Afrique. C'est une famille parce que nous avons la même histoire. La Russie a consenti d'énormes sacrifices pour libérer le monde du nazisme pendant la Seconde Guerre mondiale. Les peuples africains, nos grands-pères, ont été déportés de force aussi pour aider l'Europe à se débarrasser du nazisme. Nous partageons la même histoire en ce sens que nous sommes les peuples oubliés du monde, qu'ils soient dans les livres d'histoire, dans les documentaires ou films.
Russia has been kind to Africa. Now, it is engaging with African countries, including visa-free agreements and military cooperation. And it is offering citizenship to Africans participating in Russian military actions in Ukraine. These developments highlight Russia's efforts to strengthen its ties with African nations and expand its influence on the continent, potentially challenging the dominance of Western powers. But this all happened after the West put visa restrictions on Africans. There is no need for the West to get jealous. So, how do Western visa restrictions affect African travelers? And what are the potential benefits of Russia's visa-free travel policy for bilateral relations? The stringent visa policies implemented by many Western countries have long posed formidable barriers for African travelers, engendering frustration and impeding the potential for meaningful engagement between the continents. Before embarking on a journey to any Western nation, African visitors must navigate a maze of bureaucratic procedures, entailing exhaustive documentation submissions and protracted background checks. Such processes, often spanning months or even years, deter prospective travelers and stifle opportunities for cross-cultural exchange, business collaboration, and educational pursuits. In stark contrast, Russia's progressive initiative to enact visa-free travel for all African nations signifies a pivotal paradigm shift in international relations. This bold move has the potential to catalyze a transformative impact on bilateral ties between Africa and Russia, transcending geographical boundaries and fostering a new era of collaboration and mutual prosperity.
On tend donc à balayer le rôle prépondérant qu'a joué la Russie et de l'Afrique dans cette lutte contre le nazisme. Pour ce qui concerne le Burkina Faso, aujourd'hui nous sommes confrontés depuis plus de 8 ans à la forme de manifestation la plus barbare, la plus violente du néocolonialisme, de l'impérialisme. L'esclavage qu'on tend encore à nous imposer. Nos dévanciers nous ont bien appris une chose. L'esclave qui n'est pas capable d'assumer sa révolte ne mérite pas que l'on s'apitoie sur son sort. Nous ne nous apitoyons pas sur nos sorts, on ne demande pas que quelqu'un s'apitoie sur notre sort. Le peuple burkinabé a décidé de lutter contre le terrorisme en mesure de relancer son développement. Dans cette lutte, des vaillants peuples, des vaillantes populations se sont engagées à prendre les armes face au terrorisme, ceux que nous avons affectueusement appelés les VDP, des volontaires. Nous sommes surpris de voir les impérialistes traiter ces VDP de milices et de tout type. C'est décevant, parce qu'en Europe, lorsque des peuples prennent les armes pour défendre leur patrie, on les traite de patriotes. Mais là n'est pas le problème. Ce qui est le problème, c'est de voir des chefs d'État africains qui n'apportent rien à ces peuples qui se battent, mais qui chantent la même chose que les impérialistes en nous traitant de milices, en nous traitant donc d'hommes qui ne respectent pas les droits de l'homme. De quels droits de l'homme parle-t-on? Nous nous offusquons contre cela et c'est honteux. Il faut que nous, chefs d'État africains, nous arrêtons de nous comporter donc en marionnettes qui dansent à chaque fois que les impérialistes tirent sur les ficelles. Hier, le président Vladimir Poutine a annoncé donc l'envoi de céréales en Afrique. Nous sommes bien contents. Nous lui disons merci pour cela.
By abolishing the cumbersome visa requirements, Russia extends a welcoming embrace to African visitors, facilitating seamless mobility and engendering a climate conducive to fostering robust economic partnerships and cultural exchange. This newfound accessibility not only streamlines travel logistics, but also catalyzes burgeoning investment opportunities, as African entrepreneurs and investors are afforded greater ease in accessing the Russian market. Moreover, the visa-free travel policy exemplifies Russia's commitment to nurturing enduring partnerships with African nations, as evidenced by the region's burgeoning diplomatic engagements and strategic alliances. By fostering an environment of openness and inclusivity, Russia demonstrates its willingness to embrace diversity and forge meaningful connections with the global community. But what's the need for military involvement? What drives Russia's increasing involvement in Africa, particularly regarding military agreements?
Mais aussi, c'est un message passé à nous, chefs d'État africains, parce qu'au prochain forum, nous ne devrons pas venir ici sans avoir assuré, pour ceux qui ne connaissent pas la guerre, l'autosuffisance alimentaire de nos peuples. Nous devons prendre l'expérience de ceux qui ont pu déjà atteindre cela en Afrique, tisser de bonnes relations ici et tisser de meilleures relations avec la Fédération de Russie pour pouvoir assouvir les besoins de nos populations. Gloire à nos peuples, dignité à nos peuples, victoire à nos peuples, la patrie ou la mort, nous vaincrons.
Russia's escalating engagement with Africa, particularly through military agreements, highlights a confluence of strategic, economic, and geopolitical imperatives driving Moscow's foray into the continent. Firstly, Russia's renewed interest in Africa aligns with its broader geopolitical ambition to expand its influence and assert itself as a global power player. Amidst growing competition with Western powers, particularly the United States and its NATO allies, Russia seeks to cultivate strategic partnerships in regions historically overlooked by Western powers. By bolstering military ties with African nations, Russia enhances its geopolitical footprint and cultivates allies who may provide support in international forums and conflicts. Secondly, economic considerations play a significant role in Russia's African engagement. As a resource-rich continent with vast untapped potential, Africa presents lucrative opportunities for Russian investment, particularly in energy, mining, and infrastructure development sectors. Military agreements often serve as conduits for broader economic partnerships, with defense cooperation paving the way for mutually beneficial trade and investment deals. Furthermore, Russia's military engagement in Africa bolsters its arms export industry, positioning itself as a key supplier of weapons and military equipment to African nations. By forging military agreements and providing arms sales, Russia generates revenue and cultivates strategic dependencies, thereby solidifying its influence in the region. The implications of Russia's expanding military presence in Africa extend beyond bilateral relations to regional geopolitics. Increased arms sales and military cooperation can fuel regional conflicts and exacerbate tensions as rival powers vie for influence and leverage. Moreover, Russia's growing presence may prompt responses from other global powers, leading to heightened competition and geopolitical actions in Africa. So, while Russia is getting closer to Africa in every way, the West gets jealous. Here is one other thing that would make the West even jealous. And that's the implications of Putin's decree offering citizenship to Africans who join Russian military actions in Ukraine. Putin's decree offering Russian citizenship to Africans who participate in Russian military actions in Ukraine carries significant implications, both domestically within Russia and internationally. The decree could bolster Russia's military capabilities by incentivizing foreign fighters, including Africans, to join its ranks. This influx of foreign recruits may supplement Russia's workforce and expertise in ongoing military operations. Offering citizenship to foreign fighters aligns with Putin's nationalist agenda. It emphasizes loyalty to the state and fosters a sense of camaraderie among those willing to defend Russia's interests abroad. But there is criticism from the West. They say Putin's decree is likely to escalate tensions with Ukraine and its allies, as it signifies Russia's unabashed support for military intervention in Ukrainian affairs. Granting citizenship to foreign fighters further complicates the conflict and undermines efforts toward de-escalation and diplomatic resolution. They also say the move could strain Russia's relations with African nations, as it raises concerns about Russian exploitation of African citizens for geopolitical gain. African governments and international organizations may condemn the decree as violating sovereignty and human rights. Moreover, they think the decree may exacerbate existing divisions within the international community, with some countries condemning Russia's actions while others express support or indifference. And what would be the border implications? The decree underscores the evolving nature of modern warfare, characterized by the increasing involvement of non-state actors and foreign fighters in interstate conflicts. This trend has far-reaching implications for global security and the protection of human rights in conflict zones. Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. However, how do visa-free agreements between Russia and African nations aim to enhance bilateral cooperation? And what opportunities do they present for business and investment? The visa-free agreements between Russia and African nations represent a significant step towards enhancing bilateral cooperation and fostering closer ties between the two regions. These agreements aim to streamline travel procedures and remove barriers that hinder mobility, unlocking many opportunities for business and investment. Visa-free travel simplifies the process for African business people to visit Russia for meetings, negotiations, and trade conferences. This increased ease of travel facilitates more frequent and efficient business interactions, fostering greater collaboration and partnership between African and Russian enterprises. Business travelers can explore new markets, seek investment opportunities, and establish strategic alliances without the bureaucratic hurdles associated with visa applications. This promotes cross-border trade, investment, and technology transfer, driving economic growth and diversification in both regions. Visa-free agreements encourage foreign direct investment (FDI) by providing investors greater mobility and flexibility to explore investment opportunities in Russia. African entrepreneurs and investors can more easily conduct due diligence, assess market conditions, and engage with potential partners without the logistical challenges of obtaining visas. Removing visa requirements also signals a commitment to openness and inclusivity, fostering confidence among investors and signaling a conducive business environment. This can attract investment across various sectors, including energy, infrastructure, telecommunications, and agriculture, stimulating economic development and job creation. Visa-free travel also promotes cultural exchange and academic collaboration between Africa and Russia. Students, researchers, and cultural ambassadors can more freely participate in educational programs, cultural exchanges, and academic conferences, enriching cross-cultural understanding and fostering academic excellence. Increased cultural exchange enhances people-to-people ties, strengthens diplomatic relations, and promotes mutual respect and appreciation for each other's cultures, traditions, and values. This cultural diplomacy fosters long-term partnerships and lays the foundation for sustainable cooperation in various fields. Now comes the Western role in this. How does Russia's growing popularity in Africa impact the influence of Western countries on the continent?
It's is one of the let's say the most powerful partner, more historical partner, well known by this area. So I think that now it's no more a question of being a former colonialist power. It's finished this period. I think we enter into a globalization period. That means that, first of all, we have more competitors that are more aggressive, that are more easy to deal with, let's say, and also we didn't adapt as French or European country, or even the American, they didn't adapt their approach to the continent, because also we have new generation, we have new needs, new, let's say, demand from partnership. And main point is the fact that now the population, they ask for sharing the wealth and the resources that they have on their own soil. So, and mainly what is always said, and you can hear that at any coup or any demonstration, is the fact that, the narrative is that they fight against government which is linked to a power, a foreign power, France or US, and which is let's say sharing the resources and the wealth, but for the government from state to state and not toward or at the benefit of the population. So that I think that it was always somewhere in the discourse of the let's say all the protesters and all the opposition parties. But now it's much more openly said, and it's a way how to say now we want something new and we want to get our resources.
Russia's growing popularity in Africa is reshaping the continent's geopolitical landscape and challenging the influence of Western countries in several significant ways. Russia's increasing presence in Africa offers an alternative to traditional Western partnerships, providing African nations greater flexibility in their diplomatic and economic relations. As African countries seek to diversify their international engagements, Russia emerges as a viable partner, offering strategic cooperation in various fields, including trade, investment, defense, and infrastructure development. It also introduces a new dynamic to the continent's geopolitical landscape, diversifying the range of actors and interests involved in shaping regional affairs. African nations leverage Russia's involvement to balance against the dominance of Western powers, reducing their dependence on any single external actor and enhancing their bargaining power in international relations. It presents new economic opportunities and development initiatives for African countries, particularly in the energy, mining, agriculture, and technology sectors. Russian investment and technological expertise contribute to infrastructure development, industrialization, and job creation, fostering sustainable economic growth and reducing reliance on Western aid and investment. Russia's military cooperation with African nations, including arms sales, training programs, and security partnerships, enhances regional security capabilities and addresses common security challenges. African countries view Russia as a reliable partner, offering advanced military equipment and expertise, complementing Western security assistance and diversifying defense partnerships. So, Russia's growing popularity in Africa has led to shifts in alliances and partnerships, with some African countries increasingly aligning themselves with Moscow's interests and objectives. This trend is evident in diplomatic exchanges, multilateral forums, and bilateral agreements where African nations are willing to engage with Russia on issues of mutual concern. Now comes an important question. What is the criticism faced by Russia for offering citizenship to Africans who participate in military actions abroad? The West says that offering citizenship to Africans participating in military actions abroad raises significant ethical concerns. It may have far-reaching implications for both the individuals involved and international perceptions of Russia's military engagements. Granting citizenship as an incentive for participation in military actions abroad is perceived as exploiting vulnerable individuals, particularly those from economically disadvantaged backgrounds. This raises questions about the ethics of recruiting individuals for potentially hazardous military operations in exchange for citizenship or other benefits. Participation in military actions abroad, particularly in conflict zones such as Ukraine, carries significant risks of human rights violations and exposure to violence, injury, or death. West says, granting citizenship to individuals involved in such activities may implicitly condone or incentivize behavior that violates international humanitarian law and human rights norms. There is a concern that individuals granted citizenship through military service may become embroiled in ongoing conflicts or perpetrate human rights abuses. potentially tarnishing Russia's international reputation and exacerbating tensions with affected countries and communities. Russia's decision to offer citizenship to foreign fighters participating in military actions abroad will likely be met with skepticism and criticism from the international community. It may be considered provocative or destabilizing, signaling Russia's willingness to recruit foreign nationals to advance its geopolitical interests through military means. This policy could further fuel perceptions of Russia as an aggressive actor, willing to disregard international norms and exploit vulnerable populations for strategic gain. It may strain diplomatic relations with affected countries and undermine efforts to resolve conflicts peacefully. Granting citizenship based on military service raises questions about the ethical principles underlying citizenship and its associated responsibilities. Citizenship is typically conferred based on factors such as birth, descent, or residency, rather than participation in military activities. According to the West, this policy blurs the distinction between citizenship as a right and privilege and military service as a duty and responsibility. It challenges traditional notions of citizenship as a bond of allegiance and loyalty to a state, raising concerns about the instrumentalization of citizenship for strategic or geopolitical purposes. But what if the West is trying to show that Russia is doing all this to get military support from Africa? And does Russia want to get close to Africa?
Africa is one of the wealthiest continents in the world, blessed with some of the world's most valuable resources, minerals, and commodities. The United States has always had a strategic interest in Africa, but that interest has always been in the resources of the continent and not for the future development of African people.
By framing Russia's actions as solely motivated by military ambitions, the West can discredit Russia's intentions and portray it as an aggressive actor seeking to expand its influence through military means. This narrative helps tarnish Russia's image internationally and rally support for Western policies to contain Russian influence. The West is trying to justify its intervention or increased involvement in the region under the guise of countering Russian aggression. This narrative provides a rationale for Western military presence or support to African countries, reinforcing Western influence and interests in the continent. The West just wants its influence to be all over Africa.
They come with their own interests. The vice president of the US came to Zambia, landed at a Chinese-built airport in Zambia, moved on a Chinese-built road in Zambia. The venue of this summit was actually a gift to Zambia by the Chinese government. And that was where this Summit for Democracy was held, in Zambia.
To tell African people don't work with China. Right.
And the key agenda of this summit was to curb Africa's cooperation with China in a Chinese gift to the African continent. One of our major referral hospitals in Zambia, which is called Levi Mwanawasa Teaching Hospital, was a gift to the Zambian people by China. But even in Zambia, very few people know that this hospital was a gift. Zambia did not pay $1 for that hospital. If you went and saw the little placard that says gift from the Chinese people, it's the size of an A4 sheet of paper. And this is a massive hospital that deals with over 2,600 referral cases a month. But China is so humble in the way they deal with us on the African continent. If this was an American gift, it would be reported in media from the US to Latin America to Europe to Australia. The whole world would know about this gift to the African continent.
By portraying Russia as a threat to stability and security in Africa, the West wants to maintain its dominant position in the region and preserve its economic, political, and military interests. This narrative reinforces the perception of Western powers as benevolent actors, promoting peace and development while casting Russia as a destabilizing force. Do you think Russia just wants to get closer to Africa? Is the West trying to make everything negative? Let us know in the comment section. Why can't the West get over Russia and Africa's ties? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.